Hey there, Sovereigns. Monica Grace from cardreadingqueen.com here. Today's content is the masculine shares why he doesn't respond to texts. So this episode is going to be specifically for feminines, and that doesn't mean that you have to be a female. You can be a feminine in whatever body you choose, and you can be in any type of relationship that you choose as well. So this is just for understanding the masculine energy. So what I was going through is I was trying to connect with an ex-boyfriend, and there were just things that I was trying to talk to him about, and he has kind of been very cagey about it, and I didn't really understand why for a while. I was really confused. For a while, I thought it was because, and what he was saying was that he had too much going on. And so for a while, I believed him. And then like 2 or 3 years passed. And then I was like, okay, at some point, you've got to like get real. You've got to be more honest with me at some point. So I tried to give him space. And then, I have been a little bit more aggressive recently in trying to get a straight answer. And in doing so, what was nice is that I like fully released the need to like have an answer. Because I think I do understand what's going on with that. And I just don't, like, I don't know. I guess I've made peace with it. I was going to say I don't care anymore. It's not true. It's not that I don't care, but it's just that I've made peace with that situation, and it's really not taking up any of my energy anymore, even though it was taking up my energy for a while. So most likely, if you are trying to connect with your masculine and he's not responding to you, it probably is taking up your energy. And because of that, I encourage you to watch my content on Why Won't They Text Me Back? Twin Soul Rules of Engagement, because that can help you find peace and find closure and understand how to interact with the masculine in like a very safe and fully aligned way. But also, I think that this may help you receive peace about why the masculine just isn't responding to you. Most likely you haven't experienced it before and this is very common for twin souls. Twin souls really struggle to communicate with each other. And the reason is because they are triggering each other a lot. And then also it's like there's this energetic dance that's going on behind the scenes that it makes everything in the physical look very chaotic is the best way to explain that. So everything in the physical is meaningless. And that is the point of this journey, is to see that, the things you're experiencing in the physical, the chaos, once you get your heart and your inner self in order, that's when the chaos with this person kind of clears up and it becomes very peaceful. But the chaos is representative of the, I guess, chaos within you. And I'm saying chaos, but a better way to phrase that is probably the lack of peace within you. So this can be pointing to attachment, codependency, neediness or desire for attention. And it's really just showing you all the places that you are not aligned to loving yourself. So you never want to take anything that's going on in the physical personally. Your twin soul's not trying to hurt you. They're really just reflecting to you what's going on inside you, because they are a mirror to you, as is everything in your reality. But this person specifically is going to be a deeper mirror than the average person, I guess you could say. So I have been before this situation, and then like this situation is kind of, I mean, it's resolved at this point, but I've been talking to a couple of my soul brothers who have their feminines in the physical and are communicating with their feminines in the physical. And I was talking to them about like why the communication becomes a problem from the masculine perspective, like why they don't respond when the feminine clearly desires a response so deeply. And so one of the, there are a number of things. So, and I'm just going to read that to you. So the first thing is that, the feminine tends to place a lot of emphasis on communication, and the masculine doesn't. The masculine is not, it's not that they're not interested in communication. It's just that it's not the most important thing to the masculine. The masculine doesn't understand the connection through communication, where the feminine, in many ways, the feminine understands the connection through intuition and then tries to communicate that intuition to the masculine. And the masculine just, their emphasis is elsewhere. Their emphasis is on, their emphasis is on really trying to get their own stuff together before they let anyone else enter their space. So communication is just not the most important thing to him at this time. Some of the reasons he doesn't respond: one, he's really just trying to stay present with life. And this is a good thing, because staying present with life is a sign of peace. It's a sign of ascension. Also, I heard this from both masculines that I talked to, and these are soul brothers. I'll make another video about that. I don't have to explain that now. These are not just like random masculines. These are people that I know well. They said they don't always know what to say or how to respond. And this could be basically just that they're in the middle of processing things and they're trying to form words on what they want to say. And then sometimes they never respond because those words never quite come to them. And so there could be a pause where they don't know what to say. They don't know how to respond to you. And so they just don't respond. They don't, and it's not a thing where they tried to figure out how to respond. It's like if it doesn't come to them fairly quickly, then the moment passes. And so that kind of goes back to the staying present with life. There is a chance that the masculine is trying to spare your feelings. And this can be over very benign stuff. And I was even talking to them about this, and like, what makes you think this is going to hurt her feelings was kind of my question. But it's like, it's really a lack of self-confidence and self-love for themselves, self-respect for themselves, to be really authentic and honest and to fully express themselves. And so, there's that side to it. And then there's also, if they're trying to spare your feelings, it's a good thing. It's because they care about you. It's not because they want to ignore you. So this is actually a good sign, but you probably don't know that because you don't know that they're trying to spare your feelings. So the next one is that the masculine is not ready to talk yet. And they're trying to leave the door open for the future because they're just not ready to close that door. And at the same time, they're not ready to step through that door. And so there are a couple of things to this. Basically, let's see, where am I at? Okay. It's basically that they're either processing things that you're saying to them. They could be holding space for you. I saw this with both the masculines I talked to. They were holding space for the feminine because they could tell that the feminine was processing something out loud. And so they were just like leaving the space open but they weren't like thinking they needed to respond because they expected her to be processing it and to release that on her own. And it was just the sense that they were getting. They may not have the self-confidence to respond or to talk yet, in the sense that they just, maybe they feel like it's a lot of the same stuff that the feminine feels. It's really feeling like unable to fully express themselves, not wanting to go there with their feelings, not wanting to be vulnerable. And a lot of that is societal wounding around what a masculine should be. Like, a masculine should not be in touch with their feelings. And so they just, the masculine doesn't have anywhere near as much practice with expressing their feelings as the feminine does. And the unfortunate thing is that the masculine then tells himself, because he doesn't express his feelings and because he has buried his feelings for so long, he actually tells himself that he doesn't feel as deeply as the feminine. That's not true. Like, he does. He feels a lot, but that fear of expression is so strong. And the masculine, they don't have a support network either. So feminine in the twin soul, on the twin soul journey, often has people to talk to about this, and the masculine doesn't really have that. And even with at least one of these masculines who I am good friends with, it's like he talks to me about this stuff, and it's because he really, like, he can't talk. There's really not anyone else he could talk to about it. So the masculine, if they do have someone to talk to about this, it's typically not another masculine. It's often another feminine who understands this stuff. And that situation is rare as well, because the masculine just doesn't gravitate toward it. So sometimes they will have support, but most of the time they don't. And so they are kind of stuck in this bubble of like, just inability to express. So there's a lack of self-confidence there. Another big one was wanting to form their own opinion, process on their own, think about things themselves. So it was very much this like hermit energy of wanting to retreat away from their feminine so that they don't get mixed up by what she's saying. So they really want to figure it out for themselves. And then when they have figured that out, then they want to come back and present that to the feminine, from a place of confidence, from a place of knowing how they think and feel about something. And so a lot of the time it's like they don't use communication to process, is kind of the summary of all of that. They may also be trying to create distance from the feminine because they're not ready to deal with their feelings. And so they notice that the feminine is really not going to cut them slack. Like, is not going to allow them to not see themselves. And so then they will instead pull away, because it makes so much sense, because it's like, if you know there's someone who is not going to put up with your shit, then, and you feel like you don't have your shit together, then you are not going to go to that person. Like, you're going to avoid that person. And so that's a lot of what the twin soul journey is. It's really, the feminine and the masculine, they call each other out on the BS. And so if you're not feeling like you have everything together, you're not going to go to the person who is going to call you out on that very quickly. So they may try to create distance through a number of things. Being very slow to respond is one way that the masculine creates distance. Contacting you through different means is another way. So like, let's say you were on a phone call with them, and then they, instead of picking up your your call the next time, they like downgrade you to texting. So that's one example. So they're really trying to push you away to get space so that they don't have to, because they don't have to deal with their stuff, and it's because they're not ready. They sometimes even say that they don't have any interest, and I've heard this so many times. Like these masculines, like one of them is like fully in love with his twin flame, or his twin soul, and he has told her many times in the past and over the years that he has no interest in her, or he doesn't want to be with her like that or whatever. And this is, it's just a very common thing. And you can just even look at YouTube, you'll hear this from so many people where that masculine, it's really just coming from a place of deep fear. They also deeply fear the connection in general, because the masculine wants things to be logical. They want it to be logical, they want it to be rational, and they don't have, like the feminine is not about that. The feminine is not trying to explain like something logically. The feminine is trying to say like, hey, we have this connection, like we feel these things. And the masculine is like, okay, I feel this, but there's no foundation for it. So how do I trust that feeling? And so the masculine just really struggles with finding the logical foundation of the relationship. And that's a lot of the reason why I have my channel, because I consider myself a fairly logical person, and I like to put structure to concepts. And so I hope that this channel does help some masculines out there who are trying to understand the logic of it, because I think a lot of what is out there about twin souls, a lot of it is from the feminine perspective. And the feminine perspective is just like, this is a feeling, this is a connection. And the masculine is like, I can tell that, but where is the foundation of any of this? And how can I trust this, or how can I know that it's real without that foundation? So then the last thing that I heard, which is so funny, and this goes back to my twin soul rules of engagement, which you can check out that specific video. It's called Why Won't They Text Me Back? Twin Soul Rules of Engagement. And I talk about this in rule number 3. But basically, it's if she really needs an answer, she'll message again, is kind of their thinking about it. It's like, well, I'm not going to respond to this, but if it's really important, she's going to contact me again anyway, so then I'll just deal with it then. So it's kind of like kicking the can down the road. But it's also, it's also a invitation to the feminine to continue persisting in a healthy and loving way. And just realize like the masculine may not be responding because he doesn't know how, but that doesn't mean not to reach out again. So feel free to reach out again. In the end, what all of this is teaching you, and I hope that some of this helps you find some peace around your situation, because what the feminine mostly thinks and how the feminine mostly feels is this person's not responding to me, and it's because they don't have feelings for me, they don't love me, they don't respect me, they don't care about me, and that list kind of goes on. And so that's a feminine's perspective on it, is like, if they don't do this, it means this. And so this whole entire journey is about releasing your attachment to that narrative. In the end, you don't need a response from the masculine, which is the lesson of all this. And you can actually find peace in the situation with zero input from outside of you. The other thing I want to offer here is that messaging someone is just one way to communicate with life, or communicate with the universe, with God, whatever your higher power is, spirit, source, your creator. So you can put your queries out into the universe, Your higher power is always going to respond, and your higher power can reach you on infinite social networks, infinite text messaging, infinite phone options, and then can also reach you and communicate with you through like a million other methods. So your higher power, when for me it's God, so I'll just say God. God has ways of communicating with you. And so even if you message your twin soul, even if they don't respond specifically, just know that the universe or God is always going to respond to you in the appropriate timing. And typically that appropriate timing is when you are able to receive that information in a compassionate way. So you don't need your masculine to respond to you. The law of attraction as well kind of explains this, and it's basically this idea that you don't need, like for example, if you're going after a job, you may go after a specific job and it may go to somebody else, but that's only because there's something better coming for you. So sometimes the masculine doesn't respond, but it's only for your highest good, for like a deeper healing, for which then leads to a less chaotic relationship in the future, or even just like a more magical means of discovering the truth. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that this brings you some peace to hear what actual masculines are thinking when they don't respond to text messages. And these two masculines, they, like, I know because I've spoken to them a lot, I know that they deeply love their twin souls. And yet they have this communication challenge that is very frustrating to their feminines. So it's been helpful to see that other side of it. And I think that, I think the most important thing to realize about all this is that it really has nothing to do with you. And as long as you are following my twin soul rules of engagement, you are able to achieve peace around the situation with or without the response. And that is really effing empowering. So I hope that is helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day.